Hey guys, so in this section I would be teaching you what camera settings to use in different scenarios. So the first scenario is here where I'm filming indoors. There's not much ambient light as how it was in the previous sections when it was super sunny. So because of that, we're not using any ND filter. So whatever footage you're seeing is just with the phone. There's nothing on top of the phone. And of course for the audio I've attached a Rode Wireless Me. So let's start with the video settings. So because we are doing just a normal talking shot, I have filmed at 24 frames per second. And to get enough motion blur, you see these motion blurs, to get enough of motion blur so that the footage looks a bit more real, a bit more cinematic, I have kept the shutter speed to 1/48. The ISO is around 1000. It is not the ideal, but what you can do. The light here is not the best. So ISO is around 1000, maybe it can go a little bit more. And the autofocus is working on the camera, so I haven't pressed the screen of the camera to set manual focus at a position because it's just difficult if you are filming yourself. But if I'm filming a subject, which I know that subject would be in the focus, then I can just press it. So yeah, it's working as an autofocus. And the white balance is about 5000 because that's what is looking good in this scenario. So those are the video settings, what you would be using when you're filming indoors. So in this scenario, guys, I have to light up this place. But as you can see, all the zebras are popping out because I have put the zebras on with this option. So I have set my zebras to 95. So if there is any exposure increment above 96%, you would see the zebras line. So first job is to bring the zebras down. So what I'm gonna do, I would go to the ISO and I'll try to reduce them as much as possible. So as I go to the lowest ISO, which is 34, all the zebras are gone. So that is very good. And now I also think that the white balance, the tabletop of my kitchenette looks a bit more greenish. So I would just reduce the white balance. And probably keep it here. And then next to the white balance, you would also see tint. So I would go to tint and I would increase the tint. So the higher you go, the more pinkish the image becomes. The lower you go, the more greenish the image becomes. So I would go to a value where my kitchen top looks close to white. And I would just set up the focus somewhere here. And now we would be filming. So you see, just when we change the scenario a little bit from the couch to here, you have to change the exposure because there's a lot of light coming from outside. And of course you have to change the white balance because there the light was a little bit yellowish. Here the light is a little bit bluish. So you have to make sure that the whites in the image, they look white. You always don't have to be 100% precise because even if there's a little bit of fluctuation in the white balance, you can always change them in post. But if there's a lot of fluctuation, if the whole entire image is looking yellow, then it's a bit difficult to retain the whites in the image in post. So that's why I recommend people to set up the white balance as close to the ideal white balance in real life in the camera. So yeah, that's the video setting. The shutter speed has not changed. The frame rates has not changed. We have just reduced the ISO because there was already so much light coming from this side. Hey guys, so I just rechecked the video and I think that my face is a little bit dark in this scenario, so I would just increase the ISO. Of course, it's gonna also brighten up the sides, the windows, but that we can take care in post, which I'm gonna teach you later as well. So let's try filming in this scenario. So that's the thing with filming with iPhones, there's no flip screen, so you always have to check and go back and forth to be getting the best video output. But whatever the darkness is on this side, whatever shadow is on this side, that we can take care in post. So you don't have to worry about it, but if it's too dark, then it's a bit difficult, like how it was in the first scenario. And if these parts are too bright, then we can also take care of them in post. In post, I mean like in editing. And now let's go to even more darker scenarios. And then I can show you how you can tweak up some video settings to get good shots. So we have another scenario here. So here in this case, you see the stairs, the wood here, that is white. But because the light up here is super yellow, that is making this wood also look white. So we have to, first thing we have to do is change the white balance. So we go to WB here, and I would go a little bit lower until they look white. That is doing a really good job. I'll just check if I can do something in the tint. No, I think that is looking really good. And ISO, I think I will just increase a little bit, just until 300, until the zebras are all over the place. So there is some zebras creeping in. So I would just keep it here and I would film myself and we'll see how it looks. And mind you, we are filming indoors. That's why I'm not using the wide angle lens, the ultra wide angle lens, or the zoom lens, because if I use them, those lenses are not very good in filming in low light. But if we are outdoors, it's totally fine to use them. Because if I use the ultra wide angle lens now, then you can see the difference in the video quality. The image from this lens, it's looking decent, but if you see the corners, there is a bit of grain. And this is not even that much darker environment. So if I turn off the light, then you would see the difference in both the lenses. So let's turn it off. So as I've turned off the light, I highly doubt that you would see anything. So in this case, what I would do, I would increase the ISO, but I would also switch to the wide angle lens, not the ultra wide, because I don't want too many grains. So as we have turned off the lights, you can see that the whites have turned blue. So first thing we have to do is take care of the white balance. So I would go up here. And now the image looks a little bit warmer. I wouldn't touch tint and I would go to the normal lens. And I would increase the ISO to about 1000 and hope for the best. So now we are filming when it's super dark, but we have increased the ISO. So now the camera sensor's ability to film in low light has improved, but you don't have to tweak the ISO too much, otherwise there would be a lot of grains. But I still think that the image would be a little bit dark, but that's the best we can do in this scenario, because in real life it is looking quite dark. And as you saw, that as we turned off the yellow light, we had to tweak the white balance again. So these are the small things which you have to do if you really want a professional output from your iPhone. So now let's go to the different scenarios. We are outside now and we have the exact same video settings as how we had in the previous scenario. So as you can see that everything is just blowing out. So here what I'm gonna do, first thing I would reduce the ISO to the lowest. Oh, so that can retain some sort of brightness. And then I would also change the white balance. So these things are supposed to look white. So here what I would do, I would try to do auto and then see how much the white balance change is required. And then what I would do, I would just lock at this position. So then my white balance is locked at 5400, 5040. And now I can still see that there's a lot of zebras here. So to take care of that, I would, because now if I come in front of the camera, you can see that there would be a lot of brightness all over my face. So to take care of that, one thing I can do is increase the shutter speed. So if I go at about maybe 1/500, then it's a bit decent. And now if I film myself, it should look good. But now we have changed the exposure using the shutter speed. Now we are not following the rule of thumb, which is the frame rates, which is the shutter speed should be double of the frame rate. So in this case, the ideal shutter speed should be 1/48 because we are filming at 24 frames per second. So to keep the ideal shutter speed, we have to use an ND filter. So let me just go and grab it. Here I have the ND filter, so now I can just take care of my shutter speed. And I would go to 1/48. And because I have a variable ND filter, I can just twist the ND filter to become more strong. So I would just go here until the zebras are gone. So now we have the ND filter on my iPhone, and now we have everything in control. So our frame rate is 24, shutter speed is 1 or 48. We have taken care of the white balance, the ISO is as low as possible, and this is what you should be doing. And if you are filming in much brighter scenarios, so for example in the previous chapters I showed you that it was super sunny, and that was the time when I used more stronger ND filter. So if you are a beginner, you don't have to invest in an ND filter, but if you're serious about filmmaking, I think that's a really good thing to invest in. And there's tons of brands of ND filters you can buy if you don't want to do the DIY what I did. Or if you already have a 82mm ND filter or a 77mm, then you can use this DIY technique to use the same ND filter what you use on your cameras. So yeah, in this scenarios we took help from the ND filter to keep everything good, and now we have nice motion blur in the video, so even if I move around, the footage wouldn't be that much jittery. And now let's take you to more complicated scenarios. Okay guys, so here I had a funny idea. So now I want to film a slow motion video. So to film that, what I have to do, first I was filming in Apple ProRes 422 proxy, and I can only film, I'll show you, and with this setting I can only film at 30 frames per second, but I want the video to be even slower. So what I'm gonna do, I go to settings here, and then I would just change my video codec to H.265. So I'll just press here, and now when I go to camera, now if I go to frame rates per second, I can film at 60 frames per second. And if you see my shutter speed I've already doubled to 120. So now we are following the rule, and I think we are good to go. So let's record this. So all the other video settings I would be keeping the same, because increasing a slight shutter speed didn't really had too much effect on the exposure. So let's film this. So now I'm filming at 60 frames per second, and if I do any sort of movement, you will see that the video is looking a little bit more fluid, a little bit more smooth, and that is really normal when you're filming at 60 frames per second. But if I have a 60 frames per second video, then I have the ability to slow down this video to 2.5 times in post, and we are filming in 4K, so you have a crisp video with a slow motion. And that is not filming in ProRes because iPhone 13 doesn't have that option. iPhone 15 has. So if you have iPhone 15, then you can film in 4K 60 frames per second in ProRes, but not the 13 or 14. But yeah, here is how this video looks when we reduce it down 2.5 times in editing. So as you can see, the slow motion is here. And now if you want to film even at lower frame rates, which means if you want the video to be even slower, we go to the slow motion option, and now the video would be filming at 120. So let me just adjust the camera here, and you can film even at more higher frame rates, which is 240. Let's show you how the video looks.